What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders around the world, another scripted reality number 22. My name is Logan. I'm going to be your tour guide for this journey on Scripted Reality 22. We got a big explosion here, which is the marker for this presentation. What does this explosion have to do with Scripted Reality 22 and what I'm going to show you with very supporting evidence that we live inside of a predestined reality? That's why this series is called Scripted Reality. Man is not coding this reality. Man and woman are not in control of this reality. We are merely entertainment, actors and actresses on the world stage. So let me show you how I got this Scripted Reality 22 started. Started by watching this video on YouTube from a channel called Metal Ball Studios down there in your bottom left. I will leave this channel in the description of this video so you can click on it and check it out for yourself. It's very interesting. This led me on the goose chase here, the wild goose chase. But of course, it's using me. This was plopped into my lap because it's using me as an instrument, as a catalyst to show you that we live in a scripted reality. So this 2020 Beirut explosion, remember this? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So this led me to the largest accidental artificial non-explosions by magnitude. Now think about these words. The largest accidental artificial non-nuclear explosions. Right? Now, number one, I want to point out the word artificial just means made by the hands of man or woman. But you see, man and woman are not in control of this reality. So artificial doesn't mean that man made it, because man's mind, woman's mind is not their own. So the definition of artificial for me is made by the hands of mankind, but mankind's not in control of this reality. Accidental, there's no such thing as accidental, because we live in a predestined scripted reality. That's why this is called Scripted Reality. Okay, I just want to make that very clear here. So this is the list on Wikipedia, and here is the 2020 Beirut explosion. It's number 6 on the list. And of course, I could decode that. You could decode that, but I wanted to look to number 1. So the number 1 largest non-nuclear explosion is called the Halifax explosion in Canada. Big shout out to all you Canadians. 1917, we got to go all the way back, December 6th, right? So here it is, right off of Wikipedia. I will leave this in the description as well of the video, so you can click on it if you want to go read about it, okay? 1,782 people got killed, 9,000 injured. This is a big deal. It's the first time I read about it, because I wasn't around back then. They got pictures to boot. Okay, so you would assume it's real, it really happened, and that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you how this was all scripted, not by mankind, by supernatural energies outside of this reality. Right, so we're going to start by looking at this slide right here, and I got a lot going on, so we're going to start connecting the dots. If you're new here, just follow along. It's very simple. We take many multiple layers and we connect them using the base of numbers, mathematics. Right? So we're going to start by looking at the Ace of Diamonds. The Ace of Diamonds in a 52 deck of playing cards is card number 27. These cards are embedded into nature. 52 cards, 52 weeks. 4 suits, 4 seasons. This Ace of Diamonds, being the 27th card in the deck, matches up with this word called currency. Chaldean numerology, the oldest known numerology cipher. 27 is currency. What does currency have to do with deaths? Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you die, your spirit, your energy, all your stored energy inside of you got to go somewhere. It's currency. Your love and fear that you constantly give off day in and day out is being harvested as currency. So this was a currency event. And this 27 is tied through mathematics to this polygonal number, which is tied to the number 1782, which is the confirmed deaths for the Halifax explosion in 1917. So the 27th heptagonal number, heptagonal meaning seven-sided. Now you get into the seven colors of the rainbow and light, and we could go branch off into that. And then we also have the 27th card in the tarot to get a picture, and it's the Five of Wands. This will convert into the Five of Clubs. And the Five of Clubs is the 18th card in the deck. And that's the reason why I have Hades here. The Five of Wands, which is card 27 in the tarot, which matches that right there, converts to the Five of Clubs, which is card 18. And you go to numerology, and what is 18? Hades. Okay? Hades is 18. So this card, even though it's card 27, will convert back to the card 18, the Five of Clubs, and it means fighting in the tarot. Fighting. Okay? This card's attached to religion, fighting. It causes currency, energy exchange. This explosion and all these deaths are tied to an energy exchange. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. And I'm going to support this. With your eyes wide open right now, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue to move forward. We're going to take a look at the astrological chart. And I'm going to show you where this Ace of Diamonds fits in a little bit later on during this presentation. But stick around, because when I show you this astrological and I narrate all this, your eyes will be very wide open, because this right here is one of the harvesters. This is the great beast above. We're going to talk about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this number 27. Right? Covered this in my God is Time. Big shout out to all you Patreon members. Thank you for all your support. I covered God is Time, and this was one of the slides from it. Time being tied to pi. Pi is the movement of the circle, which is the movement of time. Wheels move. Pi moves. And it's tied to Alpha and Omega. Another big decode I plopped out on Patreon. Alpha and Omega decoded. The simple letters in Greek of where you get Alpha and Omega give you that total of 27. Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, which represents time, which represents currency, because time equates to currency. Over time, you give off love and emotions, you give off death when you physically die. That is a measurement of currency, and that is being harvested by something outside of this reality. Okay? Supernatural. So we're going to talk about this here and a little bit later. But this 27 is a big deal. Again, 1,782 confirmed deaths. That is the 27th heptagonal number. Here are all 27. All of them. I want to point out that the 16th is the Great Beast, the 616. I'm going to cover that. The Great Beast is tied to this format and the heptagonal numbers, which again is a seven-sided polygonal, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 days of the week, tied to the 7 archons, tied to the 7 classical planets, tied to the zodiac wheel, the Great Beast. The total addition of all 27 heptagonal numbers, reduced all the way down, is 153, meaning reduced all the way down 1 and 7. 1 plus 8 is 9. 3 plus 4 is 7. 5 plus 5 is 10, which reduces down to the number 1. 8 plus 1 is 9, and so on and so forth. When you do that mathematical equation and you add them all up, you're going to get 153. And why this is so big is because it's tied to the Vesica Piscis. I covered this in my Eye of Shalom Ra. And Eye of Shalom Ra is the representation of good and evil, peace and evil, peace and calamity. right? Calamity, which is what this event right here was all about. Calamity, evil. The eye of Shalom Ra is a dualistic eye tied to the flower of life. On one side you have Shalom, on the other side you have Ra, destruction. You have creation, you have destruction. And that's how our reality works. This event was part of the calamity, that side of it, the side that nobody likes. Death. Nobody likes that part. I get it. That's what this is tied to. Now, if you think mankind actually set this up to have all these outcomes exactly this way, you got a lot of describing on how you're going to back that up. You got a lot of things to back up to show and support that mankind would actually sit down and figure all this out prior to this event happening, when these two boats collided. Because that's what happened. We're going to cover those boats. So this right here is the Vesica Pisces. It's two circles. The circle is tied to Ra, okay? Because Ra comes from the word radius. And you could see that it's the 17, 17, and 17. The matrix. The matrix is the womb right here. I covered all this, and this is the square root of 3, which is going to give you the 1.41, which is now going to get into duality and beta and being in the binary system. But there's that 153 measuring across this Vesica Pisces right there, folks. So this is tied to the eye of Shalom Ra, the eye of calamity at this point. That's what this whole event was right here, a calamity. 1,782 deaths. I mean, if you're not already blown away already, I got much more to show you here. Okay? Or I should say, we have much more to show you because I'm just being used to show you this information. Okay? So we have this calamity here on this side. Distress, misery, injury, death. And you can see how both of them, both peace and evil in Hebrew, this is coming from Isaiah 45 verses 7, where God says, I create peace and evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. You want to get into I, the Yod He Vah He, I, the Lord, do all these things. However you want to fancy those words, the total from the original Hebrew is 88, which is right there. Now you get into the Law of One material. That's going to fit in here. And two circles merge together to form that eye. There's the fish. Jesus going fishing with the disciples. That is the great beast, though, folks. So that's what we're going to talk about here. And that had everything to do with this event in nature, in the mainstream. So let's cover the boat. The SS Mont Blanc, a French boat that merged into the Ivan, I think it was. No, not Ivan. Isa or something like that. Let me just double check. I just want to make sure I'd be able to quote this. Emo. This is the boat that it ran into. Okay? This boat, SS Mont Blanc, ran into the IMO. And we're going to cover the explosion and everything. But let's look at its birthday and its death day. It launched and birthed in the water on March 25th, 1899. And then it died. Its death was on December 6, 1970. So as a result, we're going to do the date in between to show how scripted this is. It's 6,830 days in between when it launched and when it finally collapsed in the water and was blown to smithereens. So we're going to go to mathematics and take a look at what the source code is all about here. Written into the story being the script. 6,830 is a composite number, meaning that it's not a prime number. So there's all these divisors that you can get into. But what we want to do is, what's the boss? What do you mean boss? Well, what's the next prime number in line? Which would mean it's the ruler of the 6,830. Well, it's the 6,833 is the prime number that rules the 6,830, which is the days in between the launch and the destruction of this boat called the SS Mont Blanc. which caused this Halifax 1,782 deaths through that explosion. Look at what prime number it is, ladies and gentlemen. There's that 88 again. It's the 880th prime number. And to support it even more, we go back to my Beast Decoded, the Beast Decoded. And I showed that the Beast Decoded, which is the Last Supper, okay? Leonardo da Vinci's painting is the Beast, which has everything to do with this reality and how this reality functions, is tied to Ra, radium, the circles, the Vesica Piscis, and mathematics. You go into the golden ratio, and we plugged in the 616, and the 616 appeared at digit 879, 880, and 881 right there. And what's in the very middle? What is occupying digit 880? Jesus. This is why Jesus is quoted in Matthew saying, when I come back, I'm not coming with peace, I'm coming with a sword. This is why the Christ is wearing red and blue, red shift, blue shift. Because it represents the eye of Shalom Ra. It's not all good, folks. There's a calamity side. There's an evil side to this. This is duality right on the painting. And you have 6 disciples to the left, 6 disciples to the right, and the Christ in the middle. 616 is the beast above. And I showed, and there's the 88, and there's the 880 right there. The 880 tied to the Last Supper, the 880 tied to the 6,830 being the boss of that through the primes and mathematics. And this 6,830 is the days in between this SS Mont Blanc launches and is completely destroyed in Canada and Halifax, and takes with it 1,782 people, confirmed. What do you think's getting all that energy, folks? This. What is this? It's the Beast. The Beast. I covered this in the Beast Decoded. There's an artifact that was discovered called Papyrus number 115, and it is of Greek origin, Koine Greek, I believe, saying that the Great Beast is not 666, but it is 616. 666 is the beast of a man, which is all of us, which is carbon. But the beast above is the zodiac wheel, the heavens, which runs the simulation. That's what we're in. A simulated reality, meaning that it's already predestined. It was already written. We're just living through the simulated events that were already written. Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, part of the simulation. That's an illusion. There's no choice. You make the choice of door number 2, still scripted. Doesn't matter. What carries the 616 as well? How about the largest thermonuclear bomb ever exploded, called the Tsar Bomba. It's a Russian bomb. This one was called Ivan. That's the one I wanted to get across, right? The largest ever, officially. It was known as Product 602. So a lot of you say, can you do this in other languages? Well, here's Russian. Look at what numbers it comes out at. Product in Russian is 59, and then they added on the 602, gives you 661. What do you see there? This. It's not exactly in the same order, but when you know how to read the code, it doesn't matter. So this becomes the largest, the biggest, most powerful nuclear weapon ever tested. And it's tied to the great beast above. Coincidence? It's tied to this explosion. Coincidence? No. There is no such thing as coincidence. Not when you look at the code. So this is not what most people think it is. Most people think it's all merry and beautiful and, oh, it's Saint this and Saint Peter and all this in the church. It's the beast. It's the great beast. Which is why you'll never see me pledge to, give my energy to, all of this stuff. The church is part of the great beast. All the religious texts are part of the great beast. It doesn't have to be Christianity or Judaism. all of the religions. It's a Ponzi scheme. And it's part of the great beast, including the things that happen in the real world, in this reality. You can say it's an illusion all you want, but people really died here. Okay? People really lost their lives here. One day, you're going to die. Are you going to call that an illusion? Let's keep going with this. So let's get into the astrological part of this now. And I told you that we'd be talking about the Ace of Diamonds, which was tied to the 27th heptagonal number, and where the Ace of Diamonds fits on the astrological map. Here's the astrological map based on December 6, 1917 at 9:04 a.m. in Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is the sidereal, the true map of the stars, not tropical, the sidereal. And not even as this is perfect, because we have to go look at, this is the chart that I exclusively look at now as the final rendition, because these zodiac signs are not 30 degrees evenly spaced. So here it is right here, 9:04 a.m., December 6, 1917. And what I have highlighted here is Hades, Pluto, being in the sign of Gemini. Now, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So we have a messenger here. But what I want to point out, folks, is this right here, because this is really important. This may be attributing to a lot of the issues in our reality. Now, if you study Betelgeuse, they say that it's going to supernova soon, meaning it's going to somewhat die. Will that alleviate some of the script playing out in this reality when it comes to calamity? Because Beetlejuice, the movie with Michael, what's his name? The funny movie, Michael Keaton. Beetlejuice is well known to be a very malefic star. And it's in the constellation Orion, the Hunter. The Hunter. This is tied to the Great Pyramids as well. The Great Pyramid and the trio, the Belt. Okay? Sirius and the Hunter and Orion, this has everything to do with that, but it's right next to Pluto during this event. Right here, okay? And here it is in the chart. So I have Pluto, and it's not just Pluto here during this event, ladies and gentlemen. You have K2, the south node of the moon, and there's Betelgeuse influencing Pluto. Pluto is already Hades, the god of the underworld. It wants your energy. That's why it's called the riches of the underworld. How much merit Pluto has. Pluto being one of the three brothers, the other being Poseidon, who got the waters, and Zeus, who got the heavens. This trifecta here. And this is a team effort. When you really start to study astrology, you'll see that all of these, they're all a team. Well, they feed off of each other. The energy that got this is all of them. But there are some exclusivity here. One of them being where Pluto was, Hades was, and it was in the sign of Gemini, Castor and Pollux, ruled by Mercury. Mercury is directly across the way in Sagittarius, forming a symbiotic relationship. Over here is Rahu, the liberation of the desire, in the nakshatra called Mula, which is setting up a root. It's in the ascendant position as well. So we have this symbiotic relationship set up here, and Betelgeuse being that malefic energy. Pluto, Hades, normally known as the deadwood cleaner. In the sign of Gemini, Mercury being right across the way, Mercury the ruler of Gemini. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Zeus is right here in the 6th house. And the Ace of Diamonds, ladies and gentlemen. The aces are the number 1 cards. So where is the Ace of Diamonds going to fit? In 2 positions. In classic sidereal now, because the springtime, the spring equinox is in the sign of Pisces, it can fit right here. And what do we have here? We have the wound of Chiron, which fits it exactly. The wound of Chiron. Okay? In the sign of Pisces, and I have the Queen of Clubs here because the Queen of Clubs is actually December 6th card. And the Queen of Clubs, this is going to be card number 25. And this card right here is an exclusive Zeus card. So again, it's a team effort. But we also have the Queen that can sit here in the sign of Pisces. When you go back to the tropical, you have Pisces being the 12th sign. And there's the day that this happened, December 6th. Just being very transparent. Here's the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. So here's December, here to the right. You come down and here it is, December 6th and row 6, okay? So we have the Queen of Clubs for this day, right? The Queen of Clubs for this day, and she can fit in the sign of Pisces. She can also fit into the sign of Aries as well. And that's what I want to talk about because see, Ace of Diamonds, which is what we're led to on the currency, right? The currency, the 27th heptagonal number. Well, the Ace of Diamonds can fit right here in the sign of Aries through the tropical. And then I can go all the way back to the sidereal now where the sun is in the equinox right currently in this present moment, and the aces can fit here. And again, this wound of Chiron fits right over that Ace of Diamonds. And remember that Ace of Diamonds going all the way back up here, being tied to the confirmed deaths in mathematics. And the heptagonal number, 27, and this being the 27th card in the deck. So that fits in there through the astrological chart. Now, if I move it to Aries being the first sign, well, this is why I have the explosion here, because you see, this is your IC, meaning this is where the root of the chart is, meaning the root of the explosion is right here. Now, Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is war, killing, death. And you have it here, and of course the mushroom cloud is going to explode this way. And what do we have? The MC, the midheaven at? Lib Ra. This is the Omega symbol, the Alpha and the Omega. This is the Omega, the end. This is the end of that boat of 1,782 confirmed deaths. The end. And this mushroom cloud goes up here, and now it's through the sign of Libra. Libra being ruled by Venus. So we come down here. Venus is in Capricorn. Capricorn is in the second house of Taurus. So we come back over here, and it's just round robin. And Taurus is ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter is the ruler of the ninth house. And the ninth house right here is getting the energy from the seventh house, which is where we started with all this, which is Hades and Betelgeuse, the influencer. So it's not just the zodiac wheel, ladies and gentlemen. It's also going to be the influences on the inside and the outside. This is a big deal, folks. And there's so much more. Of course, Kronos and Poseidon here in Cancer. Mars being the co-ruler of, with Pluto being the co-ruler of Scorpio, the sun being in Scorpio. See, so it's a team effort. So Helios has its marker. This is like the Death Star here. The sun being in Scorpio. Scorpio being ruled by Pluto. Pluto is the big marker here. Why? Because Pluto is tied to plutonium, which is Shiva the Destroyer. And why is plutonium so big in all this? Ladies and gentlemen, what time did this event happen? What time does it say? 9:04 a.m. Right there. You can't get any more obvious than this. I mean, if you study the Trinity test, the first thermonuclear testing, the Trinity test, July 16th, they blew up a plutonium bomb. Plutonium bomb explosion. Okay? And this is Hades, the god of the underworld. So when things blow up and people die, where do they go? Back to the dirt. And now Pluto gets fed. Plutonium and Hades gets its food. It gets its food. While the as above gets its food by the souls and spirits leaving the bodies. They got to go somewhere. Your thoughts and all your energy got to go somewhere. Well, when you die, the body's no longer able to support all that. And now Hades gets the physicality. But this is a team effort, ladies and gentlemen. This is a big deal. And it's so easy to see when you have all these tools. I have the life path, the numerology life path. This is the pre-Gregorian life path now. Because you may be wondering why I have December as the 10th month. Well, that's because if you go past the Julian calendar, thousands of years ago, March was the first month. And that means December is the 10th month. And that puts us at a 7, 52-7. Well, what is in the 7th house? Pluto. And this happened at 9:04 a.m. and there's the 94. See how magical this is and this is, again, folks, there's nothing magical about people dying, but it is part of life. Death is a part of life. And this thing is the great beast. When you get really good at this, you'll start to see, and maybe you'll become less reactive to your emotions when you see death happen. Because man and woman are not in control of this reality. It doesn't matter how high up in the totem pole they think they are. No one gets a hall pass when you start to look at this. So this being the really true map of the stars here, all right? And now let's jump into the cards that mark the birthday of the SS Mont Blanc, the ship carrying all the explosives that took out 1,700 plus lives, and then the actual event on December 6th. Well, this March 25th, the launch date is the Jack of Clubs, card 24. And then as I've already shown, the explosion and the Halifax explosion being on December 6th. It's the Queen of Clubs. So we literally have two clubs here, a Jack and a Queen. And when you do the addition of these two cards, this is merging the two cards together. You can do this with your life card and your spirit card. Okay, this is a technique that I learned from Sharon Jeffers, the great card reader, Sharon Jeffers. Big shout out to Sharon. So when you bring them together, 24 and 25, simple math, you get 49. And what's the 49th card in the deck? The 10 of spades. Right? The 10 of spades. And when you see this card show up, I mean, what does it look like in the tarot to give you the picture? Death. You get death. This SS Mont Blanc and all the other people that it carried, and a whole bunch of people around the area, that's what they got. Death. This card's tied to Skull and Bones. Society, I already covered Skull and Bones. Those people are not in control of this reality. They are completely being used as well. That's my opinion, but I support it with a lot of evidence. So there you go. So when you see the 10 of spades show up, well, it's sayonara. It's finished. And that's what happened on December 6, 1917. Okay. So let's get into the explosion itself. What caused it? This ship contained 2,300 tons of picric acid. It had 500 tons of TNT and 10 tons of the plume cotton, right? But the big takeaway was the 2,300 tons of picric acid. So here it is. Right? And you can see that it is a compound that's used for explosives. That's what its primary use is. Explosives. Right? So when we're going to go to the page, let's just go to the boat. And we're going to go to the picric acid. Here it is. And what I want to measure, come down here as I often have done, is the chemical formula, the property, and the molar mass right here. You can see what the molar mass is, which you have 6 carbons, 3 hydrogens, 3 nitrogens, 7 oxygens. The molar mass is 229.10. And what is that 229 tied to? The great beast. So in my The Beast Decoded, I covered theology. And in theology, it was Revelation 13 verses 18, which talks about the beast being 666, which of course there's that Papyrus 115 that says, no, it's the 616. Well, when you do some form of alchemical theology, I guess I'll just coin it as that. What do? This is Revelation 13 verses 18. Well, I went and I did this many times. How about all the previous verses? I'm going to add them all up. Chapter 1 has 20 verses. Chapter 2's got 29. Chapter 3's got 22. Going all the way to chapter 13 and 18, I'm going to add up all these verses. And what do we get? Just coincidentally, we get 229, which is the 50th prime number. And then you go back to alchemy and you get this element called tin. And then you go and bring mainstream into this and you connect what's tin? How about the Tin Man? Well, what's the Tin Man all about? Well, it's looking for its heart because it doesn't have one. Spirit wants to come down to play this game so it can experience what it means to be a human being with the senses that we have. The Tin Man. And tin is tied to what planet? Zeus. And Zeus is the largest planet in the canopy, which only has the great red spot on it, no other. So this molar mass of the 2,300 tons on this boat that rammed the other boat, the molar mass comes to 229, which goes all the way back to the great beast decoded. How's this possible? You're starting to see the connections? So what is the beast? Well, yeah, man and woman, but since we're not in control of this reality, well, we're just taking orders from the voice in your head. The ideas that you have in your mind, where are they coming from? They're not coming from you. You're getting them, but they're not coming from you. I mean, just the scripted reality 21, I showed Philo Farnsworth, the first man to create the electronic television. I showed with absolute certainty that he wasn't in control of creating the television. It was just an idea that he had. So we're getting to the tail end of this. How about the solar spread number 18 now? I'm going to give you some wow factors to think about to end this presentation. I'm going to go to solar spread number 18. Why am I going to go to solar spread number 18? Because between the day that this boat launched and the day it exploded was a total of 18 years. 18 years between the day it launches and the day it explodes. Right? It launched on 1899 and died on 1917. 18-year span. So I go to solar spread number 18, and now I'm going to locate, first and foremost, the launching card, the birth card, essentially, of the SS Mont Blanc. The Jack of Clubs, card 24. And where is it sitting in solar spread number 18? It's sitting in space number 22. This is, of course, scripted reality 22. Sitting in space number 22. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate the event day, the day that it exploded and died and took 1,800 people almost with it. And I'm going to go, what we do is with the cards, we start here. This is the sun card, right? And now you go from here, you go down to this next row and you go from right to left. So we go here, we can't go any more left. So we go down to the next row and this is the Mercury card. Mercury, Venus, Mars. And what's sitting in the Mars position? The event. The December 6th card. The Queen of Clubs. She runs the simulation, by the way. She is a Jupiter card. And the Mars position for this Jack of Clubs, for this boat, on its 18th birthday when it finally blew up, has the Queen of Clubs, the Mars card here for it, and this is the card of when the boat blew up and took 1,800 people. Coincidence? No. But let's keep going. I have the Five of Clubs. Why do I have the Five of Clubs? Because it's the Hades card. So I start again here. I go Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Next row, Pluto, Hades. And there's the card again. Fighting. And this is the 27th card in the deck, which represents currency. It represents currency, folks. Go all the way back up here. 27th card in the deck. Total amount of deaths. 27th heptagonal number. So when you look at this chart, the Pluto position for the SS Mont Blanc on its 18th birthday, its death day or death year, it's got the 5 of clubs, card 27, which correlates to the 1,782 confirmed deaths, being the 27th heptagonal number. This is the 27th card sitting in the Pluto position. Coincidence? So you have Mars and Pluto, who are the co-rulers of Scorpio. Remember that the sun is in Scorpio. See, Pluto and Mars are the co-rulers of Scorpios. The sun at 9:04 a.m., which is a plutonium energy, the explosion, is sitting in the sign of Scorpio, and it's in the 18th nakshatra. And the boat dies at 18 years old. The boat's age was 18 when it blew up. You see how magical the cards are an oracle, like Sharon says, they're an oracle in themselves. Scripted reality, ladies and gentlemen. That man's not sitting down launching boats and stocking it full of picric acid and TNT to hit another boat and explode to get all this action working out exactly this way. Too complicated, man. We got lives to live. We got people to see. We got boats to cruise. We have, this and that to do. No, this is the planetary positions having their way with this reality. That's what this says. And what about Hades? I mean, if you want to talk about a scripted reality, here it is. Hades is a Greek word. And it's a 43 in the ancient Greek. What's the 43rd card in the cards? The 4 of spades. Now, I want to get a picture, right? Well, here it is. What is the 4 of spades? It's the 4 of swords. And what is the picture indicating? Sleeping. Death. Checked out. So now you know, folks, if you ever see this card show up in a tarot reading, right? It represents Hades. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad thing happening, but you have a better understanding of what the card means. Just from numerology and connecting it to the tarot. Now you know how big. So with the 43 now, let's go to Solar Spread 43, right? Let's go to Solar Spread 43 and what's in that same exact position as spread number 18. We had spread 18, the Pluto card for the Jack of Clubs. 5 of Clubs. What's sitting in there for the spread 43? The Queen of Clubs. And what's the Queen of Clubs? She's the ruler of December 6th when this Halifax explosion happened. Coincidence? Is this just merely people trying to mock you and get one past you? Well, no, ladies and gentlemen, we live inside of a predestined. You don't have to like this stuff. Like, no one likes the death part. I get it. No one likes the calamity part. I get it. But folks, death is a necessary component of life. No one lives forever. There's a very specific reason for that. We didn't create these kind of rules. They were already created when we got here. You don't have to be a fan of them, but that's the rules. That's the way it works. That's the structure. And the oracle speaks very loudly here, once again, on how this works. Right? And even the Trinity test, the last slide I have here, even the Trinity test, July 16th, Queen of Clubs. July 16th. Here's July. Come down to the 16th, and there she is. Right there. So what's up with the Queen of Clubs? Well, she is the 35th card in the tarot. 35. And how big is that 35? It's tied to that. So what does a simulation mean? It's this predestined scripted reality. The simulation was already computed. It was already, the parameters were already put into the computer. The parameters were already put into the mind of God or the mind of gods or whatever, however it works. And you're just, you and me, we're all living through the already coded reality. There's nothing you can do about that. Because if there was, we wouldn't be able to decode and see these markers and measurements. And this is why you can use this system to figure out what your life's going to look like for your entire year. Not going to give you exacts, but it will give you roundabout ideas of what it's going to look like. This explosion, this right here, was already written before it ever happened. Before the boat was ever created, it was already scripted to happen. 1,782 people already scripted to die in this explosion. Right? One day you're going to die. One day I'm going to die. The question is how? That's the unknown. And most people fear the death. Right? So now you know, folks, what this Hades means, how big Hades is in the presence of that. Pluto, Hades. Right? Could even be Prometheus. I've covered that in the Prometheus Decoded. But tied to the great beast, and the beast is harvesting energy. And that's just the way it works. Right? That's just the way it works. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what I got for you. Scripted Reality 22. Would love to hear your comments. So if you saw something, put it down in the comments. Let me know what you saw. Just keep your comments cordial. And again, yes, I'm very confident in the results and narrating this and telling you. And you may sound like, oh, Logan, you think you got it all figured out. My answer is I don't. But there is a 1 + 1 = 2 fact that I stand by. And that is we are not in control of this reality. Now, you want to branch off and say something else? Go ahead. But you're not in control of your reality. If you do something, you're supposed to do it. There are no accidents. There's no such thing as coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got. Scripted Reality 22. My name is Logan, Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.